Hey guys, Vic from Airvol here, your trusted Canadian CPAP supplier. And if you're watching this video, that means you just purchased an Air 10 device from us. Maybe you had it delivered or you picked it up from our office. And in this video, we're going to go over in detail how to use your equipment, settings that you can utilize to optimize your therapy, support services that you have available, and the recommendations on how to maintain your equipment so your therapy goes smoothly. Okay, so first off, this is a ResMed device. It's an Air 10, and this video applies to you whether you have an AirSense 10, AutoSet, CPAP, an AirCurve 10, BiPAP, or other kinds of Air 10 devices. There's different types of them depending on which PAP therapy you were prescribed. All those devices share the same disposable parts like the water chamber tubing and mask compatibility, and those would just differ in your prescription settings. So this video would still be applicable to you if you had one of those bi-level devices of the Air 10 series instead. Okay, so that being said, let's begin. So when you get your Air 10 device, it comes in a travel case just like this. It would be pre-packed in one. And check out our unboxing video, which goes over exactly how it comes from the box. And then essentially when you open up your bag, this is the equipment you will find inside. You'll get your machine itself, the water canister for the humidifier, the tubing for the device, and you can either get it with a climate line heated tubing or a non-heated tubing, depending on what your preference is. For the example here, I have the heated tubing. And then you also get the power cord for the device, which has a built-in transformer. These can adjust from 110 to 240, making it a travel-friendly device that you can take with you on your vacations. Okay. So first, the water chamber of the device on the Air 10 just inserts into the side opening of the machine. You're going to see an opening with a heating plate, and that's where the water chamber slides right into the machine. To remove it, it's quite simple. You just grab it and pull it right out. There's a thumb grip here, making it easy to do so. Ideally, for all CPAP machines, you want to use distilled water to fill this up, as distilled water doesn't contain the minerals that regular tap water or drinking water would. If you use that type of water with your machine, you're risking a lot of mineral residue accumulating over time, and this could affect your humidifier's efficiency and also force you to change your equipment more frequently. So distilled water, you can get it in any large chain grocery stores. You can even get machines that create distilled water for you. And when you get the water, you're just going to open the lid like so, and you pour the water up top to the maximum indicated lines on the scales on the side over here. Once it's filled up to the maximum, you can just slide the water tank into the machine. In terms of filling up the water, on a regular basis, on a daily basis, every time before you start therapy again, it is recommended to change your water and use fresh water. Now, some individuals might top up their water instead. If you're going to do that, still make sure you change your water every 2 to 3 days. You don't want the water to go stale in there. Okay? The other thing is your tubing connects to the back of the machine. If you're using a climate line heated tubing, you're going to have a specific end with a chip that actually plugs into the back of your device. If you had a standard non-heated tubing, then both of your ends will be just like this, and one end just goes over the tubing port, and the other end connects to your mask. In the case of this heated tubing, we're simply going to line up that electrical connector with the socket and the tubing port, and it clicks into the device. So with this Air 10 heated tubing, it has a built-in elbow swivel, so it will move around with you if the tube needs to change positions for any reason. Okay. The power cord for the device also goes into the back of the device underneath where the tubing connects to. So I'm going to plug it in right now. And when we plug it in, you're going to see the machine basically powers on right away. You're going to see a ResMed logo, and then it's going to load the home page. Now, on the Air 10 series of devices manufactured these days, you are going to see a prompt when you first plug in the device indicating that there is no SD card indicated. However, don't panic. That doesn't mean the machine can't record data. In fact, ResMed does not include SD cards in their machines any longer because the device actually stores data internally, and you can also access this data using their MyAir app, which there's always going to be a QR code found in your bag when you get the device that you can download the MyAir app, or you can simply search the MyAir app on your Apple or Google Play Store. This app will track data reports from your machine right to your phone in an easy to understand manner. It gives you a report card score out of 100 based on important factors like your usage, your events per hour, your leak, and how many times your therapy was interrupted during the night. So in essence, if you used the machine for a full night, you had low events, low leaks, and less interruptions with removing your masks, you'll score a score uh, close to 100 points. It's a good way to stay compliant on therapy and keep track of how things are going. And the score also gives you an indication if you ever need to reach out to your vendor for support if you see lower scores on your app. Okay. Alternatively, if you did want to use an SD card, you still can with these machines. That capability is still there. On the side of the machine, there's a flap that opens up and there's a slot for an SD card. You can get a standard sized SD card, not a micro SD, but a standard SD card up to 32 gigs that'll work on these ResMed devices. All that does is when you insert the SD card, it copies over whatever data the machine already has, and the machine stores up to 1 year's worth of data before overwriting, and that data gets copied on the card, and now you can read it on your computer using a desktop software. There are some software such as Oscar that a lot of users use to get detailed reports and check up on their own therapy, and that is totally available with this device if you wish to pursue that. Okay. Alternatively, another way to get support and detailed data reports is through your vendor. So if you purchase this device through us, Airvol has the ability to access your data reports wirelessly, as these machines transmit data using a cellular modem. Now, we don't actively monitor anyone's data, but if you do reach out to us, one of our staff at that time can reach out your data with your consent and then provide it to you. These data reports contain more detailed trends that can share a snapshot of how your therapy is going. This is an excellent feature that helps us troubleshoot issues with your therapy, provide support, and even adjust settings for you remotely if needed. So these kinds of support services are free with us every time you buy a machine on an ongoing basis. Anytime you need such one of the staff, such as myself, to reach out to you, just call us or send us an email, and then we can arrange a time to review your data reports. If we need to send reports to your physician to consult some changes to your equipment, that can be all done seamlessly without ever having to visit our office. Okay, so now we're going to go over the actual interface of your Air 10 device, what the menu looks like, and settings that you can adjust to help optimize your therapy. So as I just mentioned earlier, the first message you'll see when you plug in your machine is the no SD card message. The Air 10 doesn't have a touchscreen. Instead, this dial is your navigator and selector tool. It's like a mouse. So when you turn it, it can move around. If you press it, it selects things. So we're just going to press the dial on the OK, and that message is just going to go away. This is your home page on the Air 10 device. You're going to see My Options and Sleep Report stacked up on top of each other, and you can navigate between the two by scrolling the dial, counterclockwise or clockwise. Once you want to go into the spot that you do, you're just going to highlight it and press on the dial, and it's going to go into that page. So for example, we went into My Options, where there are some basic therapy settings that the patient can change. Over here, you're going to find settings such as ramp time. And ramp time is a feature where your machine starts at a lower than prescribed pressure for a certain duration of time before it ramps up to your prescribed pressure. This is a good feature for new users first getting used to CPAP therapy, as your prescription pressure might be a little too high for you to tolerate right from the beginning. The ramp setting allows you to set a duration of time where the machine stays at a low pressure, allowing you to fall asleep before the machine ramps up to your prescription therapy that you need for adequate therapy. In the ramp time, you can click on it and it goes by 5-minute intervals. You can even turn it off once you're used to your prescribed pressure and you're finding that the initial ramp pressure is too low for you. Alternatively, if you need more time, you can increase it by the 5-minute increments. The longest period of time you can get is 45 minutes. There's also the auto ramp setting, which is what's usually prescribed. And this is a variable ramp time setting where the device basically tries to guess when you are falling asleep and it ramps up accordingly. So at times it might ramp up very quickly if you fall asleep quickly. At times it might ramp up much more slowly if it feels like you're still awake based on your breathing patterns. So normally we suggest to start off on the auto ramp, and then maybe after a month or so when you're used to your therapy, you can even consider turning this feature off. So once you find the ramp time you want, you select it by clicking on the dial, and then you will see it saved on the page. The next setting you can adjust on this machine, and that's quite important, is your humidity level. This is how much moisture the machine will try to provide to you through your tubing. In general, you want to increase the humidity level when you experience dryness or congestion. And sometimes you can also increase your humidity level seasonally. For example, in the winter months, you can increase it as the air is going to be drier and colder. And conversely, in the summer months, you can decrease your humidity level as there's already an increased level of ambient humidity. To do that, you're just going to highlight humidity level with the dial and then click on the dial once. And then here you can turn the dial to increase or decrease the humidity level. The Air10 device can go from 1 to 8, 8 being the highest level of humidity. So typically we start off at a level of 4 and we increase it based on symptoms such as dryness or congestion, or decrease it if you're finding that your air is too thick or heavy to breathe. You can also turn off your humidifier where it won't heat up the water chamber for those individuals that don't prefer any humidity. While this kind of population is rare, a lot of people like this do exist, and they find that therapy is much more comfortable for them with no humidity at all. So if this is you, you can definitely turn off your humidifier setting, and now you don't even need to put water in your tank. Another thing you could consider if you just need a very low level of humidity is filling up water into your chamber but keeping the humidity level off. And this creates cold passover humidity where the machine won't heat up the chamber, but there's still a little bit of moisture that it'll provide to the air that you're breathing. Now, if you do use a heated tubing, your humidity option settings actually look quite different. So I'm going to connect the heated tubing right now, and you're going to see a message appear on the screen. So as soon as you plug it in, the message is climate line air connected. So your machine detects that there is a heated tubing. And now when you look at your humidity settings, you're going to see some other things show up over here. You have tube temperature and climate control. Now, the default settings that you're actually going to see when you first connect your heated tubing would be like this: climate control at auto and tube temperature at auto. And what these are suggested preset settings by ResMed. Essentially, it holds the temperature at about 27 degrees Celsius and it keeps the humidity level at about 4, which is kind of the most suggested setting that ResMed has. Now, of course, you can start off with this setting, but based on your symptoms, you can always manually adjust the setting even with a heated tube. And to do this, you would click on climate control and change it from auto to manual. And now it will display those default settings: the tube temperature at 27 and the humidity level at 4. You can now go into these individual settings and adjust the humidity level and the temperature of the tube accordingly. The purpose of the heated tubing is not to make your air warm, but it's to actually provide insulation to the tube to prevent temperature loss as the air passes through your tube. If you're using a regular tubing and the air cools down too much, you can have a lot of water accumulate or condense through the length of the tube, and this could create a rattling noise that we call rainout. So in general, if you're finding that you're getting a lot of condensation buildup in your tube, you would increase your temperature. If you're not finding too much condensation buildup, then you don't need to increase your temperature, and you can even decrease it if you found that your air was too warm. The next setting that you can adjust on this page is pressure relief, and you can toggle it between on and off. Pressure relief pertains to a setting where the device reduces the amount of pressure it gives to you during the exhalation phase. Now, depending on your prescription, this may be set up or not, but it tends to be an optional setting that the patient can toggle on and off themselves. So if you did want some exhalation relief, you can keep that on. If you wanted your pressure to be more static, where it doesn't really change from the inhale to exhale phases, you can keep that off. Lastly, another setting you can adjust on this page is your Smart Start setting. Smart Start, when on, what that does is the machine will detect when you wear a mask and when you remove a mask. And it will turn on and shut off on its own without you having to press the start-stop button on the machine. This is a convenient feature to make your therapies hand-free. We usually set up this setting for you when you buy a machine from us, so most of the devices you get from us will already be set up this way, and you can toggle it off if you didn't really like the setting and you prefer to press the button instead. To start the machine normally, you would press the button on the top of the Air10 device once, and the machine would start blowing air pressure. On the middle of the screen, you would see the pressure that it is blowing. If you have a ramp setting, of course, it's going to be at a lower setting than prescribed, but you can check out your prescription settings somewhere on the top of the page. It will display it. And that's the setting that your machine will go to once the ramp phase is over. This light does go away as a screensaver, so the light is not distracting you at nighttime in a dark environment. But if you move the buttons around, it would light up again, showing you where your pressure is and how your therapy is going. To stop your machine, you can either press the same button you pressed to start it, or you can remove your mask and let the air leak till your machine stops on its own. If you let it stop on its own, it can take up to 30 seconds to do this. Every time your machine stops, it automatically opens up the sleep report page and it gives you a summary on how your usage that immediately occurred, how it went. Your first line goes over your usage hours. How long did you just use it? The second line goes over your events per hour. This is your AHI, or how many times you stopped breathing. The goal of PAP therapy is to have an AHI of 5 or less per hour using the device. It will also give you feedback on the seal of your mask and if your humidifier was working properly. If you see a sad face at mask seal, the machine is suggesting to tighten up your straps or maybe check the fitting of your mask to see if there's a leak occurring. If you see a sad face for the humidifier, it usually means that there's something wrong with the heating element of your humidifier. If you do see a sad face for the humidifier, you can contact us and we can check into the warranty of your device. Air10 devices by ResMed have a 3-year warranty in Canada from the purchase date. You could even purchase an extended warranty from us to make it up to 5 years. Below this data report screen, you can also look at data over a longer period of time. The Air10 device allows you to look at data spanning from 1 day up to 1 year. And it shows you data from that period of time below, like your days used, your average usage, your pressure that you used between those times, your average leak in liters per minute. In terms of your leak, you ideally want this to be under 24 liters per minute. And your AHI, which is the same as the events per hour, should be under 5 per hour. It also gives data feedback between central and your obstructive apneas as well. Of course, you don't have to focus on all these reports. If it's too complicated for you, you can always contact us and we can take a look at your reports and advise you if your therapy is going well. Any subjective feedback you have as well, you can contact us with, and we can work you through that to help make your therapy more optimal. To exit this page, you can press the home button below the screen to take you back to the home page, or with the dial, you can scroll up to home and click on it. Either way, you're going to get the same result. That sleep report page can always be revisited from the main menu. It is just the bottom tab. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to maintain and clean your equipment. So anytime you get a machine from us, we will provide an equipment care guide sheet to you. It's just one page on both sides. It's the same information. One side is English and one side is French. And it goes over the cleaning regimen and also the maintenance regimen for your disposable parts of your CPAP, which we'll go over right now. So you have a few disposable items with your CPAP machine, which would be the water chamber, the tubing, your mask, and the air filter, which is found on the opposite side of your water chamber. There's a little door that pops up and you have a filter in there as well. So these parts for your machine need to be cleaned and then also replaced at certain frequencies. So in terms of cleaning, once a week, you want to clean your tubing, your mask, and your water chamber just with regular soap and water. To make it easy, you can take all 3 items and put them together into a bucket or sink, fill it up with some water, and you can use some dish or hand soap, like palm olive for example, and let it soak in that soapy solution for about 15-30 minutes, rinse it out and let it air dry. You can also get cleaning accessories such as a hose brush to help clean the inside of your tubing, but these are optional. Just rinsing it out with soap and water on a weekly basis should be sufficient as well. With the Air10 device, the filter is actually not washable, so you're not going to wash this. Instead, you're just going to change this when it gets too dirty. It's usually recommended to change filters for these machines every 3 months. If you have pets or allergies, you can also get hypoallergenic filters, which have finer pores, and you can change those monthly. In terms of the maintenance or replacement schedule for the other parts, every 6 months you want to change your water chamber, your tubing, and your mask. it is recommended by the manufacturer to change these parts in its entirety. Alternatively, you could also change parts of the mask like every 3 months. For example, you can change the headgear if you find that it's wearing out quicker. You can change just the nose piece or the face piece of your mask depending on the make and model you have. For the example of this video, I have a mask called the AirFit N30, but any of the masks you see on our website would be compatible with this machine. You would choose the mask based on your comfort level, and our staff would have helped you figure out which mask to get based on how you normally breathe, either through your nose or your mouth and other preferences that you may have. Okay? So to summarize, once a week, you want to wash your equipment except for the filter for this device. And then every 6 months, you want to change the disposable parts, and every 3 months for the filter. Lastly, to close out the video, I'm just going to show you how everything would look if it's properly connected using our model stylish Sam over here. All right, guys, so now we're going to use the machine. So got some distilled water here. We're just going to pour it in, and you're just going to go up to the maximum indicated line of the device. Okay, and then once you filled it up, you're just going to close that lid, and you're just going to slide it in flush into your Air10 device. Okay, now the tubing for your machine, if you have a heated tubing like this, you're going to take the elbow end and connect it to the back. If you have a regular tubing, either end is fine. It doesn't matter which one goes to the back of the device. Okay, I have the N30 mask over here. So usually what you want to do is put on the mask first. So with this mask, for example, it's just got a simple pullover head structure. So it just goes to the back of the head. The cushion sits underneath the nose, and then you're going to split the two straps. This part of your mask is the tubing connector. Every mask has its own 15 millimeter tubing connector that goes into the 22 millimeter end of a tubing. So simply, you're just going to insert it in like so, nice and firm, and it's connected. If you have the Smart Start setting on, once you start breathing, within about 10 seconds or so, the machine will turn on its own. If you don't have that on, feel free to press the buttons. We're going to press it. The machine is going to now start giving therapy. Okay? Now, when Sam is done therapy, waking up in the morning, or they just need to go to the washroom for any reason, they're going to simply just remove their mask, hopefully not toss their wig off. Once they remove the mask, if the Smart Start setting is on, the machine will turn off on its own. It can take up to 30 seconds to do so, or you can press the button for an immediate response to stop your therapy. Okay, you can then review your sleep report page to make sure that you had low events and adequate usage, and make note of anything that seemed problematic over there to bring up to your vendor or your physician. And then you're basically done therapy. You can leave your machine plugged in the entire day when it's not in therapy. In fact, it's actually advised. You are going to feel a bit of air come through your mask even when it's off. This is a cool down and drying feature that the Air10 device has, where it's drying out the tubing and cooling down your machine. You'll also notice a snowflake icon flashing on the top right of the screen when your machine is shut off. This is a normal function. The snowflake disappears if your machine is on, and you're going to see a heating logo there instead. Okay? Always keep your mask in a secure place away from kids or pets to avoid harm to it. And when you're back, all you need to do is wear your mask again. We do recommend maybe having some wipes. We do carry mask wipes. You can even use wipes like baby wipes to just keep the cushions of your mask clean on a daily basis. And this can be a stopgap between your weekly cleaning that you do for the mask. We hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. Of course, if you had any other questions or concerns, you can always reach out to our staff and we'll be happy to help you. Hit the like and subscribe button and see you around next time.